All right, so I figured I'd get on here and explain or break down, in my opinion, what happened today. So, Colts and the Texans played today, and the Cowboys and the Seahawks played today. I watched both games. I'm going to watch both of the games tomorrow, even though it doesn't affect me. It doesn't matter for me. The only thing it really affects is New England or Patriot fans, New England and New England fans and the Patriots is what I meant to say. Because whoever wins that AFC game tomorrow, it's pretty simple. That's who's going to Foxborough. So, first game that was played was the Colts and Texans. If the Colts won the game, then Kansas City already had their opponent made. If the Texans won, then they were going to Foxborough, and we was figuring out who we were going to play. So let's just say this: Houston didn't show up at all. Their defense played relatively decent. They played extremely well in the second half. They played somewhat decent in the first half. They gave up some penalties here and there, and the Colts came out pretty hot in the first half. But the Houston offense just laid down. I mean, there was nothing of them. They just weren't even there. I mean, they weren't. There was no offense on that team whatsoever. Hold on, let me reply to this. So it wasn't the Colts defense that won the game. The Colts defense is decent, yes, but Houston shot themselves so bad in the foot today. No, I'm not saying the Colts didn't earn the win. That's not what I'm saying. The Colts earned it. They came out and they stepped on Houston's throat from the beginning of that football game. I mean, that's all there was to it. But when your offense plays that ridiculously bad, to just literally never get anything moving. It wasn't coverages. It wasn't any of that. It was penalties and drop balls. I don't know how many times in this game Deshaun Watson threw a pass and it hit a dude right in the chest, and he just didn't catch it. Andrew Luck did all right today. I know Colin Cowherd's going to be on his shit, and he thinks they're going to come to Arrowhead and just murder Kansas City, and Andrew Luck's going to be a star of the day. Look, you don't think, if you think I'm wrong, here's my proof. Andrew Luck only threw it 32 times. He completed 19 of those for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an INT. Andrew Luck scored points when he was down in the red zone, when he had the chance. If Andrew Luck threw for 400 yards and had 3 touchdowns and an interception, which I'm not going to tack the interception onto him because that wasn't really his fault. It was just a tip ball. That's all it was. J.J. Watt tipped it at the line. Some other dude picked it off. Otherwise, they were on pace to score 28. And I say 28 because they got blanked the second half. They didn't score anything. If Andrew Luck had 400-something yards and maybe another touchdown, I would say Andrew Luck definitely, which he possibly could have had 3 touchdowns. He had the chance. But the tip ball ruined that. But the fact that it should have at least been 21-10 at the half. Texans got down in the red zone, went for it, didn't make it. Texans got across midfield, went for it, didn't make it. Then later on in the game, the Texans went down, got in the red zone again, went for it, didn't make it. And then they finally got one in. So there's 17 points. So you add that, that's 24-21. Colts defense played decent. They played decent. They played decent football. What really killed Houston was playing themselves and penalties. They had way too many penalties on the offensive side of the ball, way too many penalties on the defensive side of the ball. They had way too many drop passes, and sometimes the coverage wasn't even there. The only dark side on Deshaun Watson was, hell, he threw a ball to a guy that was wide open down the sideline, which was one of the very few times that the Colts defense did get pressure, which I find funny because Colin Cowherd said that the Houston Texans had the worst offensive line in the playoff spot right now. And the Colts didn't do jack shit with it. I mean, I get it. It's a divisional game. These games can go either way. They really can. But, just if their O-line is that bad, they would have got a lot more pressure than that. The Colts defense is known for not giving up big plays. Deshaun Watson had 10 more completions than Andrew Luck did. He had 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. Deshaun Watson also rushed for 76 yards, so you can tell who was trying to play on that team and who wasn't. When they did rush Andrew Luck, it worked. When they didn't rush Andrew Luck, you could tell. He either got out of the pocket or he just kind of sat back there and found his target. So, and another thing, for some reason, T.Y. Hilton has a absolute monstrous game every time he plays Houston. I don't know what it is about the Texans, but he loves playing them apparently because T.Y. Hilton just murders them every time. And this was one of his lower games, and he still had 85 yards. So what does this mean? This means the Colts are coming to Arrowhead. Okay. All the Kansas City fans that watch this video, will you please chill the shit out, man? I mean, come on. We haven't won a home playoff game in 20 years. What are you worried about? What are you so amped and hyped up about? They played a divisional game. It could go either way. Andrew Luck played decent. The defense played pretty good. But the Texans shot themselves in the foot. And here's another thing. Dallas had 2 playoff wins. We have 1 playoff win in the past 20 years. Dallas had 2. They just won tonight. That backs up my point. It has to end eventually. Dallas's losing streak just ended. It has to end eventually. I'm not saying we're going to beat the Colts. I'm not saying we're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying any of that shit. I'm just saying if it's not this year, it's some year in the future we're eventually going to win one. That's just the way the NFL works. Some skids are worse than others. The Oakland Raiders have been sucking ass for the past 17 years, man. Eventually, they have to be good consistently. They had 1 good season. Eventually, they had to be good, and they had it. So, see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Okay, everybody, calm down. Quit saying we're going to get murdered by the Colts. Quit saying the Colts are the scariest team in the playoffs, because they're not. This is proof of it, okay? And here's my proof. Andrew Luck got knocked on the whole second half. He didn't score a single point. Do you know what happened to other teams that didn't score an entire point the whole second half against Patrick Mahomes? Let me put it this way. If Andrew Luck wants to start a shootout, Patrick Mahomes is going to beat him. And I say that because that defensive line is not going to get a pass rush. If they can't get a pass rush on Houston's O-line, they're not going to get it on ours. Damian Williams has been running wild lately, and the defense tried a new scheme against Oakland, and it worked pretty well. Look, Andrew Luck's a good quarterback. The Colts are a pretty solid all-around team. They're a good team, obviously, or they wouldn't have won this game, and they wouldn't have made it this far. But the team we have at Kansas City is better. How are we going to lose to the Colts? Well, if we lose to the Colts, it's because we played like we did at Seattle. We played stupid. We turned the ball over. We make dumbass decisions, like on 3rd and 1, lining up to run in the I formation. Our defense doesn't play worth a shit. That's how we're going to lose against the Colts. If we lose, that is why. It's not going to be because of our quarterback. If Andrew Luck wants to make it a non-defensive game, Patrick Mahomes will win that football game. Andrew Luck will not beat him in a shootout. Andrew Luck is a good quarterback, but he will not beat Pat Mahomes in a shootout. The Colts are good against big plays. Look, dude, you run that Tampa 2 at Arrowhead, and Tyreek Hill is going to be in the middle of the field every single play. You cannot run Tampa 2 against Kansas City, and I doubt they will. By the way, for those of you that don't know, Tampa 2 is a zone coverage where the corners cover the flats, and the linebackers stay in the middle, and the two safeties split, so it leaves the middle of the field wide open. It's a defensive coverage designed to cover the flats on a short yardage situation, but obviously not the middle. There's a big gaping hole in the middle. Look, quit getting so worked up. The Colts have not seen a team like Kansas City. They have not seen a team this fast. They have not played a team this fast. Seattle was a good matchup for us. They played fast. They played physical. Russell Wilson was a hell of a quarterback. And Dallas is a good matchup for Seattle because they're the same way. They played just as fast. Dak played his ass off this game. Zeke ran like fire between his legs. I mean, you get my point. Everybody's riding this off before it even happens, man. Look, the Colts are not God's gift. They're not the best team ever. The best thing they got riding for them is they have playoff experience. I highly doubt they get any pass rush against Pat Mahomes. I'm saying that because they could change their scheme, and they could. But they didn't look good against the Houston O-line. So, and we're better than the Houston O-line. So if they can block them, we know we can block them. Deshaun Watson tore him apart with his legs. If Patrick Mahomes gets a chance, he's running. Damian Williams. What was Houston's run game look like? Okay, their running back didn't do jack shit really, but Deshaun Watson did. That was probably their biggest downfall. They couldn't run the ball. The biggest thing the Colts have going for them, they have playoff experience, and their defense is extremely fast. That's the two things they really have going for them. Andrew Luck, look, we haven't beat the Colts in the playoffs either. So that's another thing. So that's another thing you can use against us. We haven't beat the Colts in the playoffs. But they also had Peyton Manning once, and they had Andrew Luck, and they came back and beat us in Lucas Oil Stadium. That was a travesty of a football game. Andrew Luck on a 4th down went for it. Went for the running back went to dive over the pile, fumbled the football, and it bounced right back into Andrew Luck, and he just so happened to dive forward for the touchdown. It's like the Marcus Mariota thing, man. Anything that's lucky that can happen against us will. The one good thing about Kansas City's defense, their pass rush. If Kansas City can form a pass rush like they have in the past, they're going to get to Andrew Luck. The Texans did it today. If the Texans can do it, Kansas City can do it. So what are my keys? We got to pressure Andrew Luck. He's going to make plays. He's going to score points. It's the playoffs. It's Andrew Luck. We got to pressure him. We got to make plays. Because if we don't beat the Colts, think about this. If we don't beat the Colts, they're going to Foxborough. Andrew Luck has gotten murdered by Tom Brady. Had absolutely murdered. I mean, I don't know who's going to Foxborough. That's decided tomorrow, the Chargers or the Ravens, but neither one of them are going to win that game. Not in Foxborough. I would be highly shocked. Because guess what? The Ravens are the only team that could beat New England in New England in the past, because they're the only ones with that kind of a scheme. And they have a rookie quarterback, and he can't really pass that well. Phillip Rivers can't beat New England. Never has, never will. Which, by the way, guess who always put the Chargers out in the playoffs? New England. Guess who always punked out the Colts in the playoffs? New England. Deflategate, 45-10. They don't have a record for beating the Colts, They have a record for blowing the Colts out of the damn water. The Colts went to Foxborough this year, 38-24. That was their closest margin of victory that Andrew Luck's been with the Colts. That's how sad that is. That's how extremely sad the Colts play against the New England Patriots. So what are the keys? Pressure Andrew Luck. That's number one. Stop committing penalties. That's number two. Look, you're not going to commit a shitload of penalties and beat the Colts. You're just not. They're already going to get down the field and score points. I'm not saying they're going to put up, 28, 30 points, but they're going to put up points. Offense has to not do dumbass shit like they did in Seattle. You do really stupid shit and you pay for it. And they still... It seems like every time Kansas City loses a game, they still put up 30-something points. If this defense can just hold them to 28 or under, this game belongs to us. That's what it boils down to. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is defense needs to play. Defense needs to play next week. If defense can play, defense can win us the game. I'm not worried about Pat Mahomes. He's going to get his. We've had a problem. Our biggest haunting in the past have been quarterbacks, except for Trent Green. Trent Green went out there and lit it up like a Christmas tree against Peyton Manning in 2003, and Peyton Manning came into Arrowhead and beat us 38-31 because he had the ball last. That's another thing. Don't give Andrew Luck the ball last. Just don't. Just keep it from him. Big plays. The Colts may be the best against them, but they're definitely going to give some up. Look, I said it once and I'll say it again. The Colts may be the best against giving up big plays, but it doesn't matter. We've already played the number one defense, and they gave up big plays. You are not going to stop that offense. The best thing you could do is slow them down by keeping him off the field, and that's about it. Or get the ball on the last drive of the game and make it. That's about the only way. That is the only way you're pulling this one off. And that's how it's been all season. So... I don't want to see any of this bullshit where we get up 28-3 at halftime and come back and lose. All that shit needs to go down the drain. If that happens again, Andy Reid needs to go. He needs to kick damn rocks. Look, I'm sorry I like Andy Reid, but I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of these embarrassing ass losses. If you can't score a single point with Patrick Mahomes in a whole half, which has never happened so far, then guess what? You need to get your ass out of the office. Why? Because there's guys like Mike McCarthy that could win us playoff games and a Super Bowl. There's guys like Jim Harbaugh that's trying to get out of Michigan right now that could easily win playoff games and get us to a Super Bowl. There's coaches out there on the market right now that win playoff games and Super Bowls and championships. Okay? If Andy Reid can't do it, you need to find somebody else that's going to. I don't care how good he is in the regular season. Because you know what? At the end of the day, it don't matter if you make it in at 10-6 or 11-5. Or 12-4, or 13-3. The point is what you do in the playoffs to get you to that point. Because, besides one game, there's nothing to talk about. So just stop. Just stop counting everything out right now because the Colts went and beat a divisional team that was so damn shaky they could hardly get a first down. They couldn't hang on to the ball. They were dropping it. They were committing penalties. They were... Every time they get momentum, they go down there and they go for it on a fourth down and miss it. Or a guy would bobble it on his way out of bounds and they wouldn't get it. Yeah, the defense was good. I'm not going to take that away from the Colts. The defense were good. But is this team godlike? Hell no. The Texans made them look a lot better than what they are. And it's for the simple fact that I don't think a lot of them guys were ready. They were too young. A lot of them guys look so damn shaky out there, passes hitting them in the chest and clear passes that they should have caught, with coverage being a yard behind them. That's just how the playoffs work. But I can tell you right now, if Andrew Luck thinks he's going to score 21 points in one half against Kansas City and then not score a damn point for the rest of the game in Arrowhead against Patrick Mahomes, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. Because there's not a defense in this league that can hold Patrick Mahomes scoreless in a whole half. There isn't. There just isn't. It doesn't happen. He's too good of a quarterback. The only way I see Mahomes blowing it is if he just comes out and he's so petrified by the playoffs he just doesn't play worth a shit. That's happened too, and that could possibly happen. But do I see it happening? Not really, because he's so calm back there as it is. Players will tell you straight up, it's a playoff game. And besides all the stuff that happens before the game, it's just another game. Offense needs to be on their game. They need to stay rolling. Defense needs to get stops. That's all it boils down to. Okay, these guys are not the best team in the bracket. They are good. They are hot. New England, in my opinion, New England is the most deadly team in the playoffs. And you can say they play like shit all you want. But at the end of the day, if the Colts beat us, they got home field advantage. Are they losing at home? Hell no, they're not. Not to the Colts, not to the Chargers, and probably not to the Ravens. This team, this is what it all comes down to. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? The Colts beat us and people talk shit for a whole nother year? You know, some junk-ass fan from some stupid-ass fan base, like the Raiders or the Cardinals or somebody that completely sucks. You know, I had a Raiders fan tell me, well, it's a joke you guys make the playoffs and lose every single year. Yeah? Yeah, so if Kansas City's a joke, what does that make your team since you're the last in the league every single year? What does that make your team? And he just didn't reply. You know why? Because he knows. He knows his team is shit. Why does he talk shit? Because he thinks he can. But at the end of the day, he really can't. He can say everything he wants. But at the end of the day, his team's at the bottom of the shit barrel with the rest of the league. And this team made the playoffs. So that's like somebody walking up to you and say, hey, my car is faster, but I got a bicycle. That shit just don't even make sense. That's how that works. So if your team ain't in the playoff picture, just shut the hell up, okay? You don't need to be talking about, you know, how bad other teams suck in the playoffs because you're not even there. You know, your team's not even there, so just shut up. You don't need to talk. Your words are useless. So yeah, we're cursed against the Colts in the playoffs. We beat the shit out of them in the regular season, but when the playoffs come around, we lose to them. But you know what? It's been the same way for the Steelers. It's been the same way for the Ravens. The list goes on and on. Look, man, the list goes on and on, okay? It's been the same way. It's been the same way for every single team 20 years back. We've been getting beat by them. So, you know what? Just relax. It's a new team. It's a new quarterback. Yes, the defense sucks, but they get a pass rush, and that's something that Andrew Luck can't handle very well. So that's where the mix match comes in. You know, I mean, really, has Andrew Luck played a high-priority offense this year? Think about that for a second. What's the best offense Andrew Luck has played this year? As a matter of fact, let's find out. Because if they did, it's probably a team they got beat by. The Patriots are probably the best offense they played this year. We'll just say that. And if you minus the Patriots, you have the Giants, the Jaguars, the Texans, which we're not going to count them because they're all divisional teams, so that can go either way. The Dolphins, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Bills, the Jets. The Jets put 42 on this team. 42. The Jets put 42 on this team. Sam Darnold put 42 on the Colts and beat them. The highest Andrew Luck has scored all season is 34. No, 37, and it was against Buffalo. So he scored 37 on one of the shittiest teams in the league. Okay? Cincinnati beat them 34-23. The Redskins beat them 21-9. The Philadelphia Eagles beat them 20-6. The Jets beat them 42-34. The Patriots beat them 38-24. Minus the Jets, what's the best offense you see in here? Oh, wait. Philadelphia? The Bengals in their early days? I mean, Really, he hasn't played an offense. He has not played an offense. So this is going to be a real test. If the Colts win this game, then, well, so be it. I mean, it's what's new. As I said before, it's been going on for the past 20 years. It's got to end eventually. And I feel like this is probably the best shot to do it. You got all the odds going against you. You haven't beat the Colts in the playoffs ever. I don't know. We've lost playoff games for 20 years straight besides that one shitty Houston team we blew out in 2013. All the odds are stacked against you. Well, they were stacked against the Cowboys too, and they just beat Seattle. So my point is, it's got to end eventually. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but it's got to end eventually. The Oakland Raiders were shit for, 16 years before they had a winning season, and now they're back to being shit. So, it's got to end eventually. My personal opinion, this is a good matchup. Andrew Luck only scored over 34 points one time, and that was against the Buffalo Bills, who can't put 37 on that team. Not saying that Andrew Luck isn't any good. I'm just saying. Andrew Luck is a low-scoring guy that relies on his defense. Patrick Mahomes is a guy that's going to tear that defense apart. And if he doesn't, well, then apparently he's just letting the playoffs go to his head. But he seems pretty calm up to this point, so I don't see why it would. So there's two reasons why we could lose this game. Right? Let's say three. Three reasons. Andrew Luck gets the ball last. Defense plays like absolute shit and can't stop anything like they did in Seattle. Or Patrick Mahomes gets nervous and just falls apart. Defense gets a pass rush. That's something that Andrew Luck don't like. Probably, honestly, really, he hasn't played any defenses either. I mean, it's hard to go by this team because the one team he played in the playoffs was a divisional team, and then the rest of the teams were just junk, except for Dallas. Dallas was the one good team he played, and Andrew Luck played like shit that game. But the Dallas Cowboys left 24 points on the field, which would have actually won the game 24-23. But they kept going for it on a 4th and goal and couldn't make it. They lost in the same fashion the Texans did. So the Colts defense they're good. They're good. But they haven't faced a Patrick Mahomes, and they haven't faced oh no, I'm sorry. Andrew Luck and the Colts put up 42 on the Raiders. 42-28. Just realized that. Patrick Mahomes is going to have to put up points. That's what it boils down to. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to write everything off and say, oh, the Colts are the best team in the league. They can't be stopped. They're going to come in and just shit all over Arrowhead. Has Andrew Luck ever played in Arrowhead? I don't think he has. I don't think he has ever played in Arrowhead. I don't think he has ever played in Arrowhead. So it's going to be a new territory for him. It's going to be a different defense he's never seen. It's going to be a completely reamped, different offense. A far better offense than any other team he's ever played, besides the Patriots. I guess you could put the Patriots up there because the Patriots played him at home. And the Patriots ended up putting 38 on them. Look, this was like a mirror image of the Colts versus Patriots. Patriots put pressure on Andrew Luck, made him do stupid shit, and they kept putting up points. They won the game 38-24. That's pretty much the same formula that they're going to have to in place in Kansas City for them to win this game. It's literally the exact same thing. And if the Colts win this game, well, we just made it easy for New England again. Because Andrew Luck's never beat the Patriots, and the smallest margin of victory was right here, and that's 17 points. So, we just cleared another road for the New England Patriots to go into the Super Bowl if we lose this game. So, I guess in ending, I'm happy for my. I got a lot of Cowboy fans as friends that are really loyal and watch their team every year. I'm glad you guys finally got a break. I'm glad you guys finally won one. I'm glad the streak is over finally. You guys can sit back and relax for a little bit until next week. That's about it, really. I mean, that's all there is to say about that. The Colts are not godlike. They're not the best team in the league. You gotta play them certainly, and you gotta play them head down, and you gotta play them with pride. You gotta. I mean, just throw all that other shit out the window and play the game. Just do what you gotta do. We'll see what happens. We played the number one defense and we beat them. Of course, Lamar Jackson can't pass it like Andrew Luck can. But they also can't run the ball like Baltimore can either. So we'll see what happens. I'll hit you up tomorrow when the other game's end.